Through God we shall do valiantly, and it is He who will trample down our enemies. Psalm 60 verse 12. Psalm 60 is a powerful psalm written by David during a time of national struggle, military conflict, and emotional distress. Israel had suffered setbacks in battle, and David cried out to God for help, restoration, and victory. The psalm begins with sorrow and desperation, but it ends with confidence and faith. Verse 12 is the triumphant conclusion of the entire chapter. This verse carries an important message that is still deeply relevant today. Human strength alone is never enough, but with God, victory becomes possible. The first part says, "Through God we shall do valiantly." The word valiantly means courageously, bravely, and victoriously. David was not trusting in military power, intelligence, wealth, or numbers. He understood that true strength comes from God. Throughout Scripture, God often used weak people, impossible situations, and overwhelming odds to demonstrate His power. That truth has not changed. Today, many people feel overwhelmed by battles of different kinds: depression, loneliness, financial pressure, broken families, sickness, anxiety, rejection, addiction, fear about the future, or spiritual struggles. The world constantly tells people to rely entirely on themselves. Be strong enough. Fix yourself. You can do everything alone, but many discover that human strength has limits. Eventually, everyone faces situations too heavy to carry by themselves. Psalm 60-12 reminds believers that God does not ask His people to fight alone. The victory comes through God. That means through His strength, through His wisdom, through His guidance, through His grace, and through His power working in weakness. This verse is not promising a life without battles. David still had enemies. The struggles were real. But the difference was that God was with him in the middle of the conflict. That is incredibly important for Christians today. Faith does not mean the absence of storms. It means God is present within them. The second half says, "And it is He who will trample down our enemies." In David's time, this referred to literal enemies attacking Israel. But for believers today, the application is often spiritual and personal. The enemies may be fear that tries to control your mind, temptation that keeps returning, bitterness that destroys relationships, hopelessness that whispers you should give up, or the attacks of the enemy against your faith. The verse points to God as the ultimate source of deliverance. He is the one who overcomes what we cannot overcome ourselves. This does not mean Christians will never suffer. Even faithful believers experience pain, grief, and hardship, but it does mean that evil does not have the final word. God remains sovereign, faithful, and powerful, even when circumstances seem impossible. In modern life, many people are exhausted emotionally and spiritually. News cycles are filled with war, division, uncertainty, and fear. Families are under pressure. Mental health struggles are rising everywhere. In such a world, Psalm 60-12 becomes a reminder that courage is not produced merely by positive thinking. True courage is found in trusting God. The verse also teaches humility. David was a king, a warrior, and a leader, yet he openly admitted dependence on God. Modern culture often glorifies self-sufficiency, but Scripture teaches dependence upon the Lord. Real strength begins when people stop pretending they can save themselves. For Christians, this verse also points forward to Jesus Christ. Through Him, believers find victory over sin, despair, and death itself. The greatest enemy humanity faces is separation from God because of sin, and Christ came to defeat that through His death and resurrection. Psalm 60-12 therefore becomes more than an ancient battle cry. It is a declaration of hope. When life feels impossible, when strength is gone, when fear is overwhelming, and when defeat seems near, the message is simple but powerful. With God, you are never fighting alone.